Hi there, and welcome to our fourth lesson on fractions. Actually, no, this is like our sixth lesson on fractions. So today's lesson is about equivalent fractions. Now, lesson 5, we didn't have a rubric video, and that's because we wanted to introduce you to equivalent fractions before we sort of went through the rubric. So equivalent fractions on a number line, and today we will be revisiting the rubric, that's this bit. Then you'll be revisiting equivalent fractions, and you'll be looking at some of the common fractions and how we can represent them as decimals and percentages on a number line. So here we have our rubric, and here's the section for equivalent fractions down here. Yep, and as you can see, I've put the number wall picture in there just to remind you that that's one way of actually representing or finding equivalent fractions. So in terms of our rubric, our 1, 2, 3, 4 stars, if I was to start looking at the sort of thing that we would see in 1 star, my attempt at finding an equivalent fraction is either unfinished or incorrect. So let's say we are dealing with the equivalent fraction for 1/5. Yep. And so this might look something like this. 1/5 equals 3 on 8. Yeah, so that is incorrect. Yep. Or if you went like this and just left it like that, yep, then that would be incorrect because you haven't actually finished. Yeah. Also, you may be asked to actually represent an equivalent fraction, and that would be done in diagrammatic form. So you might sort of start off by creating a shape in here, like so, and you might sort of have a look at how that would look in terms of the fraction 1/5. Let's make that a different color. Yeah. And you may not have in your other picture finished it or divided it into the right sort of quantities. Yeah, you might have done like that, and that's 1/15. Here's 1/5 and here's 1/15, and that's obviously going to be incorrect. So yeah, I guess that's the way that we would mark you on 1 star. On 2 star, we would come across and we would be looking at something like this. You would be going 1/5 equals 3/15. Yeah, 1/5 equals 3/15. And in diagrammatic form, you would actually represent that over here. Let's do that. Oops, send that to the back. Oh, too far back. There we go. And then in terms of your fraction here, you would actually have those 3 little like that. Yeah, oh, that's not exactly right. We'd make that. This is hard with this sort of software because it snaps to the grid. There we go. So there's our representation of 3/15 versus 1/5, and that's correct. Yeah, I can identify, so let's go to 3 stars. I can identify more than one equivalent fraction. I have attempted to demonstrate the rules of finding an equivalent fraction. So in this example, you would be going 1/5 equals 3/15. Yep. And the main bit that we're looking for here is that. The fact that you have multiplied top and bottom by the same value. Yeah? So the rule is you do the same to the top as you do to the bottom. What have I multiplied 5 by to equal 15? I've multiplied it by 3. So I have to do the same thing to the top. 1 times 3 equals 3. Yeah, so 3/15 is the answer there. And you would, in terms of your diagrammatic representation, you would do it exactly the same way as there, because there's no difference. There, cool. All right, so now I can identify multiple equivalent fractions. I can demonstrate the rules when making equivalent fractions. So effectively, what we're looking for in 4 stars is where you have actually done, 1/5, 1/4, yep, multiplied by. However, I'm going to go back a step because there is a further sort of expectation in this rubric, and that would be that well, do you have to do it in order? Oh no, it's just you've got to be really accurate in terms of the line you're clicking on. Okay, let's start that again. I would go like so. One-fifth. All right, so in this last star, sorry, I kind of paused for a bit and went back, and because it was going to take me ages to type all this out. So basically on this 4th star, what we're kind of looking for is a neat way of representing it. Yeah, so it can still be handwritten, but it just needs to be very, very clear. And you've found multiple equivalent fractions for the same fraction. Yep, so 1/5 is the same as 3/15, 1/5 is the same as 4/20, and 1/5 is the same as 2/10. And you can see that each time I've multiplied it by the same number, top and bottom. Yeah, so denominator and numerator has been multiplied by the same number to find my equivalent fraction. So now go through the rest of the lesson. Now that we have a good understanding about what we're looking for from the rubric, go through the rest of the lesson and complete the worksheet. Aim for 4 stars and see how you go. Good luck with that, guys. Thanks.